Je veux que tu saches.
Bon, dis-moi que ça va. We'll be starting the session in a while, so hang in there, folks.
Yo, I got a
Okay, well, since everyone is here, let's get started. So, hello everyone. Welcome to Hacktober Weekend presented by Force MAC in collaboration with MACS and TLE MAC. I'm Durga, your MC for the day. I hope you all are very excited for the event. So, let's begin. Joining us today is Emmanuel Anthony, Community Lead of Force MAC and Web Admin at MACS. Today, he'll be walking you through all the basic essentials of Git and GitHub and give us an insight into Hacktoberfest 2021. So, feel free to ask away your doubts in the chat box during the session. Also, we'll be having a small Q&A session afterwards. So, let's welcome Emmanuel to take it on from here. Over to you, Manuel. Emmanuel, you're on mute.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, yeah. So yeah, I'm audible. Very sorry for that. We are having a Git workshop. Basically, so this I'm just like giving a walkthrough of what basically we're gonna do. We'll be going from like basics to sort of advanced like stage sort of, but not that this thing also because partially requires you to tinker with yourself when you're free after the workshop and also like explore yourself basically. Yeah. So yeah, so let's get started. Okay, I'll just share my screen 1 second. And one more thing, like if there is any doubt or if there's anything in between, feel free to like speak in between. It would be helpful because yeah. So that's basic. So I'll just get started. Uh, yeah. Okay. So yeah. So basically, okay. Let's start with what so get a Taylor VCS. Okay, so what is a VCS? So it is very interesting because a VCS is a version control system, right? So like okay, if you go to a hotel or something, basically you have an attendance sheet, right? Or maybe in your classroom also, right? So basically it records what all is there every day, right? VCS is something different. This is basically for engineering purposes. Like, for example, if you're designing something, okay, now you will have drafts of design, right? You will have iterations of design, right? So if you're drawing something up, then you can have you can have the design in different sheets of paper, right? But we have to use a tool in while coding and stuff like that because there's a lot of files. Okay, there might be a lot of people working in those files, so everything has to be coordinated and nicely done together, right? So that is where a VCS comes in. So VCS is a tool, a version control system, which basically helps us with versioning and stuff like that. Am I audible? I'm audible, right? I guess I don't want my...
Yeah, you're perfectly
Yeah, yeah.
audible.
Cool. Thanks. Sorry. Yeah. So that's the idea of VCS. So basically, we'll just look. So there are two types of VCS. Okay, there's a centralized version control system and there's a decentralized version control system. So we'll just take a quick look into CVCS. It's not. I mean, it's not that abundant these days, but still, yeah. Basically, the thing is that you have a server which is a centralized server into which all the people work into. Like, okay, the commits are there in the centralized server. So some of the terms might sound vague, like commits and stuff. I'll come to that. So the thing is that each version is sort of like a commit, right, onto what basically have you done in that sort of period of time. So basically, if you have committed today, so after that, you make some changes to a files. Now that can be grouped into a different commit, right, with its own message. I'll come to examples and stuff, so it will be clearer. So the thing about centralized is that everyone is working together, right? Now the thing is, if someone is doing a commit at the similar time as another person, there might be some conflicts, and you can probably lose the source. I mean, something wrong can happen with the source code that you're basically trying to maintain. And there have been many difficulties when you basically scale it up, but it is much easier to get started with, and probably, yeah, something like that. So basically, they used to use CVCS. Now, then we have DVCS, which is decentralized. So, which is basically Git. Okay, Git is one of DVCS. There are others also, like there's Pihul and I think Mercurial and stuff. Yeah. So, which is what Mozilla uses, I guess. So, yeah. So basically, the thing is that like you have a tree, and to work on a tree, you have to basically clone it, right? So everyone has their own copies of the source code, right? It is bit costly. Like, it is not costly nowadays because now these days storages are pretty cheap, but before they were not. And so that time CVCS used to make sense, but now it doesn't. So like, you can clone the repository and then you can do stuff yourself, and then once done, you can probably push it and then open a pull request or something like that, to basically have a workflow with your team, right? So basically, this is all for team coordination, right? Now, people might basically think that if you're working alone and if you're not working with a team, you probably don't need Git, right? No, it's not. You probably still need Git because you need to version yourself, right? So, for example, I had some. Now, I'm just giving an example, like a hypothetical situation. I want to solve a particular problem, right? Now, basically, I come up with a solution. I code out the solution and I try to solve the problem, right? Now, this morning, like that was yesterday. Now, today I'm having a different idea. So I basically delete the entire thing. I code the next idea, right? Now I realized that the new idea that I had was waste, was not successful, or was just a thing. Yeah, it won't work. So I have to roll back to the previous idea, right? Now I lost it because I just cleared it, or else if I don't clear it, I have to probably comment it out or something. It's kind of messy, right? You have to comment it out and then have yeah. So that can be solved with Git. So Git can have versions. So if you're not happy with it, you can roll back to your yesterday's version and keep continuing working from it. Or else you can have two branches with the same version, right? So yeah, so just imagine, now let's take an example. Now imagine a file, okay? The name of the file is file.txt, okay, file.txt, and there is a single line in the file, and the line is, this is a line that's the file contents, okay, that's there. Now, for example, imagine that you're using Git, okay. Now you make some changes to the file and you want to commit those changes. So now you can commit those changes by adding an extra line and committing them, okay. So now this is a line and added one extra line. So basically, okay, so now this is in internally, Git has both the copies, right? Git has, this is a line and this is a line and added one extra line, like two copies, right? Basically, it stores the difference. It stores the delta, not the copies directly, but you can think of that way. Now basically, for example, now if I try doing some extra things, something like this, I added one more line, okay, to the same file, right? Now I can make a one more commit. Now I think that, okay, I don't want that one line, but I want it to stay there, but I want to experiment with something else. So what I do is that I take a step back and I merge and I branch out basically. Okay, so I branched out. So now these two lines are different. There's one more thing and there's another line, if you can see, right? They're both different things. Okay, now they are like two separate branches, and I can have my own experiments in two separate branches, not touching each other, which is basically derived from a single branch. And then once I am, once I'm done with the experimentation and with solving the problem, I can probably merge these two branches, and I can probably use the first one if that is my preference, if that is the correct solution. I can use the second one, or I can have both of them, right? So this gives me flexibility. This gives me a choice as to what to do, right? In a software, the thing is that, so for example, now this is when you're working individually, right? Now when you're working like by yourself, but if you're working in a team, for example, so this one probably is a function that your friend is doing, right? Now, and this one is the below one is probably a function that you are doing, right? Now, after that, they are both separate functions. And when you're merging them together, you can basically merge and you can have both the functions, right? If the first function seems wrong or seems less efficient, you can just have the second function, right? So it gives you flexibility there, right? It gives you that particular thing. And if you're not happy with them, you can roll back. You can roll back completely to this, right? And you can have the saved state and you can start from there. You can branch out again. So it's very flexible according to me, and increases the workflow a lot. Okay, so the work throughput basically. So yeah, so now let's come to the meat of it. Let's start with some examples and stuff. So now let's try to replicate this entire thing, whatever I showed, the entire tree that I showed. So Git, you can think of it as a tree. Okay, so basically you start from the root and then you can go upwards and you can have branches. But unlike a tree, a branch can actually merge. Okay, so you can have merged stuff, and it's pretty nice when you look into a professional repository how people have different branches when they're working and when they are merging it or rebasing it or whatever. We'll come on to that. So let's try to replicate this entire thing. So firstly I'll be taking more a command line approach. I recommend a command line approach. It basically helps to think, I guess, and and you can get a lot of like if you read the man pages and stuff, you'll get a lot of insight onto what Git is and stuff like that. But other than that, you're free. If you're not comfortable with the command line, you can also use a GUI. I'll be also showing a GUI, so you can probably use something like Git GUI or something, and you can actually you can use that, and then I'll present this. Okay, so I'll be going a CLI way, but you are free to go any way that you want. I'll be showing both the ways. Okay, so so let's start with Git init. So what is Git init? Git init is basically initializes a repository, right, in a folder in which Git is not there. So like I'm just coming to my terminal. So this is my system. So okay, so I just went to a workshop. I just went to a folder named Git workshop. So CD is nothing but change directory. Okay, so this is some common commands of Linux, of Unix basically. But it might differ based on operating system. But Git commands are same, irrespective of the operating system that you're using. But yeah, so this, if I list the directories of that particular folder, like I'm listing the directories, there's nothing. The folder is empty. Okay, I'm inside the folder is empty. So what I do is that I do a Git init. That's it. So, and basically it shows a lot of things, right? So using master as a name for initial branch. So Git initializes with a branch, right? Now the default branch name is subject to change and stuff. So it also shows me about how to configure the default branch name. I'll come to this in the last section, configuring it. But other than that, if you want, you can rename it by using this particular command, like if it's even there. So I want to rename master to main. I just prefer main. So that's just personal choice or something. So yeah, you can just type the same thing, and that's basically it. And then I've renamed master to main. Okay, so that's it. Now if I just list the directory contents, I basically have sorry, one second. Yeah, so I basically have a folder named .git. It's a hidden folder, but yeah, so that's where Git basically stores all of its internal structures, data structures, and stuff like that, and also the commits and stuff. So it basically stores all the things, and it's transparent. You don't have to worry about it and stuff, right? So what I'll do is that yeah. So, okay, so now let's create a file. So the file that we had in mind was file.txt, right? So let's create a file.txt. So I'll create a file. I'm using the command touch to create a file, right? Now I can just Vim into it. So I'm just using an editor, which is the name is Vim, or you can also use any editors like VS Code or anything of your choice. I'll also show how to probably do that. Yeah. So I'm just Vimming into the file basically. Now the file is empty. There is nothing in the file. So I have to insert this line, right? This is a line. I have to insert this, right? So I just typed it out, right? Okay. Yeah, and then I'm saving it. One second. Yep. So I saved it, and so basically now if I cat the file, I basically get the contents of the file. So the file just has one line, which is this particular line, right? Now there are some commands. I'll be covering like most of the majority of the Git commands, but some commands are like very common, such as git status, which basically shows the status and stuff, right? Coming to that. So basically, yep. There are. I'll just go over the trees of Git. Okay. So basically, Git has. You can think of like three trees or something. Okay. So one is your commit tree. Okay, that's commits basically, right? So you have your commits, and that's a separate thing. Then you have your working directory. So working directory is what you're working on currently, and then you have staged files. So staged files is basically those files which you move from the working directory and which are staged to be included in the next commit. Okay. So if you look at this, now that is coming back to that, there's one more command known as git log. So it basically shows the thing. Now, thing is that my branch main doesn't have any commits yet because it just initialized the repository. There is no commits. So Git can't show any logs, right? So I'll come to that. So basically now thing is that file.txt is an untracked file. Okay. So it is in the working directory. It is not even tracking it. It is in the working directory basically. Now I have to add it to the staging directory, because if I only add it to the staging tree basically, then only it will be included in the commits. Okay, which I'm going to commit. So let's add it. Let's add to add a file onto this git onto the staging tree. Just have to do git add. Even if you look at the help sections, Git basically tells you git add file to include it in what will be committed. So it's very friendly in that sense. So I can just add the file.txt, and then if I just look at the status, there's a new file.txt. So changes to be committed, right? And if I don't want this file, I can just use git rm cached file to unstage it. So I can stage it back. I can unstage it so that it won't be included, right? Now I want it to be included, so it is there in the staging thing, right? So okay, coming now pausing there, I'll just go to Git crack and I'll just open the same repo there. So basically, okay, I'll just open that repo. Give me one moment. I'm opening this just to show how it basically looks, probably. So you can do the same thing in VS Code. I guess VS Code is more friendlier, I guess, or something. This is just for Git. So yeah. So basically, if you look at it, there's an unstaged directory and there's a staged directory. So if I just do this get rm cached, uh, oh sorry, oops, my bad. 1 second. So it basically removed it from the staging directory, and if I just look at the status, it's there in the untracked files. Similar thing happened here, right? So even you can just stage the changes here. You can stage the file using the uh, uh, UI also. It's mostly same. So I'll just add the file. Okay, now it is in the string thing, and then I can just commit it. So committing is very simple. Uh, I can just type git commit and then press an enter. It will be in the editor that you have configured. I'll come to that. So I've configured my editor to be Vim, so it will open Vim. Okay. So now I have to. If I just close this, if I basically close this, it will give an error because it's an empty commit message. I've not put any message. Git needs a commit message, right? So I'll basically have to put a message, right? You can just, so basically it is just showing, okay, what does change it, what that changes about. Okay. So, 1 second. Yeah. So basically so I can just type maybe like, added a new line or something. That's the change that I did, right? And yeah, so that's the change. And then I can save it and quit it. So basically, now this is just asking for my GPG key. Basically, the thing is that it is to sign the commits, right? So I'll come to that. I'll come to that GPG key. But yeah, leaving that aside, so you can just get committed and then it will be committed. So if you not check the log, you have a commit. Okay. And if I go back to git kraken, you have a commit. Okay. Now I can basically see which commit is this. Like, yeah. So, okay. So basically, this is added a new line and I've added the file.txt. Basically, right? File.txt is basically I've added this, right? Coming to that, 1 second. Okay, so yeah, so now I just went through a git add and I also went through git commit, right? Uh, there are some things that you can do extra with git commit. So the thing is that git, you're supposed to, now for example, what if I want to change the commit message, which I basically uh, had before, right? So, or else, what if I want to change the file data before committing, but I already committed? Now I made a mistake. I want to change it, right? I can just use git commit amend. So what I'll do is that maybe I wanted some extra things in the file, right? Maybe I wanted something like even this line also, right? So I wanted this, but I didn't insert it. So what I can do is that I can just do git. First, you have to add the changes because if I go to the status, it's modified, but it's not add. So basically, whatever new change that you do, it's in the working directory. It's not there for staging. Git doesn't automatically stage stuff. You have to stage it manually for the next commit, right? But I'm going to stage it so that I can edit the older commit, right? So I staged it and now it's in the staged area. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to do git commit minus amend. Okay, so that's basically, so I'm amending the commit, the previous commit. Yeah, so it just adds it to the commit. So I can probably add some extra lines also, maybe like this is some detailed description. Okay, so now, yeah, I'm just saving this. So now this is in the commit, but if I check the logs, it's still a single commit because it's a single because I amended that commit. That commit has been edited by me, right? And if I open there are two lines, right? So this is the thing. So basically, like you can amend commits and maybe, but I don't recommend doing that often. Only if you have missed out something. It's better to make an extra commit so that you can roll back over in case of a failure or something, right? But I don't want this line for now, so I'll just remove this and yeah, I'll just make it back to the way it was basically. Okay, so made it back to the way it was basically. So now if I just open it, just has one line, right? So now that's there. Now I want to make an extra commit because I'm trying to replicate this, right? I want to add one extra line. So maybe I'll just open the file again. Uh, Added one extra line or something. Okay, so I add one extra line basically. Now, okay, now the thing is that I'll probably add one more line. Okay, so I'll just add. Uh, One second. Okay. Okay, so this is line number three, right? So, okay, so now that's line number three. So basically, if I just cat out the file, like cat is basically nothing just to view the file. Basically, it's simple command. I mean, it's yeah. So yeah, you have three lines, right? But I just want to add one line. Okay, so this is one thing that you might require sometimes. You basically want to add a partial file, not the entire file to the staging, not to the other commit. I just want to add one single line to the commit. So like if you're stuck like this or something, you can probably search Google. You'll get a lot of answers. Or else one good thing that you might have you might know is that uh, you can just do a help. Okay, so basically this is the help manual for the add command. So it shows you a lot of things. So there is a minus n option. We'll come to that for the some other things basically. But there are some commands that you can do with add. One of them is interactive. Interactive is that you can interactively add and subtract files. Okay, while you are adding it to the staging area, right? So what you can do is now I just want to add one line to the staging area. So I'm just going over again. There are three things: working directory, staging area, and the commit history. Right. So I just want to add one line from the working directory, the staging index. But if I do something like this, like if I do something like get file add file.txt, the entire thing is added. Like the entire thing is added. Okay, I don't want the entire thing. I just want one single line, right? So I'll just show this back. Okay, so now if I just check the status, it's not there. Yeah, so I just want to add one line. So what I'll do is that I'll just do a git add interactive, right? So I'll just do a git add minus I or whatever, right? So it basically shows me it's interactive. It's asking me questions. So it's interacting with me. So what is showing this that okay, staged. There's nothing in the staged area for this particular file, but unstaged there are two lines which are unstaged. I want to only add one single line. So what I can do is I can go with a patch command. Like it's there literally. So I'll just go with P. I can just type P for the patch. Uh, okay, so patch update. Which file to exactly patch update? So it is showing me basically only one file is there, right? So I just want the first file. So one, right? Uh, okay, so that's the only file I require. Now I just press one more time, just hit enter so that I can exit back. So now it basically shows me what are the lines that I've added to the file. Right, I've added one extra line, I have one more line. Right, I've added two these lines. So you want to stage this entire thing. Now that it's asking me some questions. Okay, I don't know what this basically is. Right, yeah. So I can just type question mark so that I can get the question mark is character here. So I can just put that to get the meaning of this. So why is stage this hung, or N is do not stage this hung, Q is quit, and I don't want to stage these two lines. I want to stage it. I just want to stage one line, right? So I can manually edit this current hung, right? So I can just type E. So what it does is that it opens up the editor. Now it's clearly written here. So to remove minus lines, just remove the minus symbol. But to remove the plus lines, delete them. So if I actually go here, basically I don't want this line. I don't want the fifth line. Okay, so I just delete it. I don't want that line. And I right quit it. I save it basically. Now that is done. now I just want to quit the adding. Okay, so I'm just quitting it, right? So I just said quit and I'm quitting. Now if I look at the if I look at the status, the same file is there in the staging area and the same file is there in the working directory. Why so? Because a single change of a file is there in the staging area and one change is in there in the working directory, right? So like even if you go to Git Kraken, it basically shows the same. It basically shows, okay, like this is the unstaged files, you added one line, and this is the stage files in which you added one extra line, right? Getting what I'm trying to say, right? So now this, yeah, so this is basically what is happening. So under the hood, so what I'll do is that I'll just commit it because I had to commit the line. So I can commit it even with working directory changes. I can commit a change. So I'm committing it as now with the commit message, you can pass a -m uh, flag so that you can commit a single line message. It's not recommended by me. Don't put single line messages because no one can understand why you committed that particular commit. So it's better to have a detailed description of why you did that, like especially if you're working on a team or something. And there are many other options. If I just go to help, there are many other options. There is the M is probably written here, I guess. It should be here. So use the given message as a commit message. If multiple concatenate separate paragraphs. So basically, you can give a single line message over here, right? That's basically M. M is a short for minus message, right? So I'll just do a git commit, and then I'll just name it as second commit. I'm not writing anything extra for now, just a demo. So yeah, I committed it. Now if I check the log, it's there, right? It came even here, right? Now the thing is that if I look at the status, that particular change was not committed because, you know, so what I can do is that I can probably delete the change of something. So yeah, so basically what I can do is I can vim into that and then I can change it for the thing that I wanted, which is one more thing, right? So one more thing, whatever, and then I'll just right quit it, right? I'm saving it, quitting it. Now the if I just check the file, it has 3 lines, right? Now I also want a third commit, right? So I'm committing it. Git add the file and then one second. So I committed the third one. So now if I look at the logs, there are 3 things. There is the first commit, the second commit, and the third commit. Okay. So you have other commits, right? So now like you have 3 commits. Like if you come here, there are 3 commits, right? Now the thing is that I wanted to branch out from the second commit. Oh, by the way, one more thing. Yeah, so I'll come to that basically. So thing is that like there's a cool command known as git checkout. You can do a lot of things with git checkout. You can create branches with git checkout. You can check out to a branch or a commit with git checkout. So git checkout is pretty powerful, by the way. So you can do a lot of functions with git checkout. I'll be going through some of them actually, but there are a lot of functions that you can do actually with git checkout. So yeah, so now what I want to do is that I'll just go to git log once again. I want to come to the second commit, right? So once again, I'll just quit this. So if I look at the file now, there are 3 lines, right? There are 3 lines to the file. Quitting this. Now if I just go to git log, I'm now in the third commit, right? My head is here, right? So I'll come to what a head is, but wait a second. So I just want to go to the second commit. I'm copying this. I copy this hash, right? This is the commit hash. So if you don't know what a hash is basically, I think it's basic. Yeah, you can basically search up on your own. But basically, what hash is, it's a unique alphabetical, like not an alphanumeric string for a particular data, right? And it's fixed length for any data, and it's unique to whatever the data is. So you can't get the data back from the hash, but if you have the similar data, you can get the same hash, right? So I'm copying the hash for the second commit, and I'm checking out to that particular hash. Git checkout space the hash. Now I checked it out to that particular hash. now it's basically showing me that it's in detached set. I'll basically tell you. I'll check the log. The head is here, right? The head is in the second commit, by the way. I'll come to what a head is, but now if I check the file, there are only 2 lines, which is interesting, right? So I'm rolling back to the previous change, right? Uh, yes. So I'll just quit this. Okay. So now basically I'll just so I'll explain to you what head is basically. So get basically you can think of it as pointers. It's a bunch of pointers. If you don't know what pointers are, basically that's pointer is a data type which points to a data, right? So basically it is nothing but an arrow to a data, and that arrow itself is a data, right? So like you have branch pointers. So basically the branch pointer basically points to the top commit of that particular branch. So for example, the pointer for the main branch points to the third commit, right? But and each individual hashes of the commits point to that particular commit. So basically, like whatever hash I put here, like this one, whatever, it points to this commit, like the second one, right? So that is why git checkout was able to check out to that second commit, right? Now but the head the the branch pointer is still here, but my head is here. So what head is basically, head is the current state of the repository, right? So I'm currently in this because the head is pointing to that, right? Now I want to make a new branch. So you can use branch command or something for making a new branch, but I'll be using checkout itself. You can, like, if you go to checkout minus help, yes, get checkout minus b new branch. So specify minus b causes a new branch to be created with the name as the new branch, right? So that is what basically b does. So creates a new branch, name new branch. Okay, and the start point is, you're not mentioning any start point. I mean, for now, but basically get what I'm trying to say. So I want to branch out. Let's call this branch maybe temp for temporary or something. So get checkout minus b temp. So I just checked out a temp. I created a new branch. Now that branch, if I just go to the log, temp points to this commit because temp, and my head is also in this commit. So my head is in this commit. Temp also points to this commit, right? Now I can check out to main. Okay. Now I'm back in the main branch. So I just go to log. Temp is still pointing to that particular commit because temp is pointing to this commit, right? But main is in this commit, right? And my head is also in this commit. So this is my current directory. So if I basically do check the file, it has 3 lines, right? It had 2 lines before. Okay, I'll just check out. So you can just put a checkout followed by the branch name, or you can do a checkout followed by the commit hash. Anything is fine. So if I want to check out to temp, so what was the commit hash for temp? It was this, right? Because it's the second commit. So if I basically get checkout to temp, so I'm basically in the temp, but I'm in a detached head position because that particular commit doesn't refer to temp. So I can check out to temp basically. So if I do a git log, I'm ahead and the temp is also here. Now what I want to do is that I want to branch out, right? Basically, I wanted to branch out to a different commit, right? So with the statement as other line, right? So what I can do is I can open up the editor, right? And then other line, right? I'm writing it and quitting it. I'm adding it to the staging index. Okay, so now it is in the staging index. Now I'm committing it. I committed it basically. So now it is basically 2 commits, right? So if I look at the logs here, it is added a new line, second commit from the temp branch, right? Now if I check out to main, three commit. So second commit and third commit. So this is a different commit, right? And if I so Git basically restores the directory as the commit is. So basically, if I open up the file, it is one more thing. It is not the other line, right? Right. It's not this the other line. It is one more thing, right? So I'm indeed in the okay. So I'm indeed in the main thing. Now, if I just go to Git Kraken, we can actually see here this temp branch has branched out from this. Excuse me. Now you might actually see main is behind this. Why? Because each commit has a time also. So if I just go to git log actually tells a lot of things. So log basically tells the commit hash. It tells who did the commit. So if I'm in a team, I can also know who actually did the commit. Okay, and it also shows the date and the time. And this is basically the time zone, GMT plus 5:30, whatever. And this is the commit message. And if you have some extra messages, it also shows that. So it shows a lot of things. So because the main commit is behind the time for the main commit is behind the time for the temp commit, so that is where temp is forward, right? So this thing is laid out by time, right? Yep. So now I'm in the main. So basically, yes. Now what I can do is I can merge it, right? So I'm in the main and I want to merge with temp, right? So I can just do git merge temp. That's it, right? So I just merge it. Boom. There's a conflict, merge conflict. Okay. Why is there's a merge conflict? Now, the thing is that if you look closely in this, the third line is the same line. I mean, there are two different third lines, right? But the first and the second line are the same. So now Git knows that first and second line, there is no conflict, but the third lines are different. So it doesn't know which third line to keep. Okay. So that is why there's a merge conflict, because it doesn't do the decisions for you. You have to make your own decisions, right? So maybe the third line of the main branch is needed, or maybe the third line of the second branch is needed, or maybe both the lines are needed. You never know, right? So what I can do is if I just go to git status, it shows me what is happening. So fix conflicts and run merge commit. Use git merge abort to abort merge. So if I don't want the merge to happen, I can just use abort, and then it will basically abort the merge, right? Now file is more. So if I just go to the file, let's go to the file. Okay. Oh, great. So the head is that one more thing, and the temp is another line. So basically, whichever lines that I don't need, I can delete them. Whichever I need, I can keep. So for this case, I need both the lines. That's the thing that I needed. So I'm going to delete the other things, because that is basically Git showing that, okay, this is the changes. You can keep whatever you want. So I'm just saying that I need this two lines. Now I'm going to save it and quit it, basically. Yeah. And I'm going to add it to the staging index. So use git commit to conclude the merge. So I can just use git commit. Merge requires a merge commit, right? So merge itself is a commit. I mean, because when you're merging, if you can see here, it's an extra commit. You can see, right? Because there's like 1, 2, 3, and this is the third commit in the temp, and this is the commit in the merge. That's a merge commit. So I can maybe put some, like if I want my fellow peers to know, I can maybe put some. You should put messages, but I'm just saying, like, depends on your workflow. But I can, like, it's your wish. If you want, you can just put some messages in the comment. So merge both the branches. Right? It's just like any other commit, right? So I merge both the branches. I am saving it and quitting it. So now if I check the log, there are 4 commits, right? So this third commit is from the main. This commit is from the temp branch, because it looks at the time, right? Can you see this? The time increments, and then it is merging both of them, right? And if I come to the Git Kraken, you can actually see I like this. This is the temp branch, and I merged it onto the main branch. Voila. So that's basically it. So that's how things work, right? So now if I basically come to the file, it has all the 4 lines. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And if I and by the way, temp still exists. So I can get checkout to temp. I open up the file, still in that state, which is with the other line, that particular third line, right? So that state it is maintained, right? So I can go back and I can play around things. Now, don't imagine this as a single file. Imagine this as a multitude of files. Imagine this as your project, right? You can experiment with things. You can roll back. You can go here. You can roll back, and you can do a lot of stuff, right? Which is pretty cool, right? So I can quit this now. Yeah. So basically, I have like two. Now I'm in the temp branch. So that is yeah. So that's basically that. So I went over checkout and I went over merge. Okay, now let's think of a scenario. Okay, a scenario in which you basically branched out from this commit, right? But you don't want to merge this commit. You basically want to branch out from this commit. Okay, and then decide for yourself what you want. So basically, what we're doing is that this particular commit was based out of this commit, right? If you can actually see. So we want to base out from a different commit. Okay. We want to rebase it. Okay. So that's where it comes. So basically, what I'll do is that I'll just do some shenanigans right now. I'm just reverting back to the commit so that I can get the previous state. But I'll come to all of these things one by one. So I'm just resetting it. Oh, sorry, 1 second. So I'm just check out. Lord, I want to come back to this commit. So okay, so I just rolled back things. I'll explain to you what reset is and stuff. It is there in the this thing. So yeah. So basically now, if I look at my tree, it's somewhat like the previous situation. Like okay, that merge never happened. I just resetted it. So it's in the previous situation. So like you have a main which has 3 commits, and then you have a temp which is branching out from the second commit. Okay, pretty simple, right? There's not a much of thing that is going on, but yeah. Okay, now there you go. So basically, now temp is basically branching out from the second commit, right? Temp is branching out from the second commit, but I want temp to branch out from the third commit, right? That's what we sort of looked here, right? So it was basically branch from second commit. I want to branch it out from the third. Right? So what I do is I just check out to temp. Now I'm in the temp branch, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to rebase it, right? So what rebase basically does is that, as I told you, it basically rebases the base commit. It rebases it to different commit. Now when I am typing git, so I even type like something like git merge temp, right? That time, the command that time. Instead of temp, I can put anything. Like I can put a branch name, or I can even put a commit hash. Okay. So I want to rebase from this particular commit hash because everything is that. So you can put anything basically, right? Doesn't really matter. So I want to rebase it using main. So get rebase main, right? So there's a merge conflict. Why is there a merge conflict? Because as you know that the same line had 2 different data, right? So if I basically similar to merge, so basically go here, there are 2 lines, but I want both the lines, right? So I'm going to read this off so that I can have both the lines, and then I'm saving it, quitting it. If I just type status, it shows me that interactive rebase is in progress, right? And there are some conflicts, and then you can just add them to mark the resolution. So now that file is resolved, I can add it to the staging index basically. Now change to be committed. Yeah, and then get rebase continue to all conflicts fixed. If all conflicts are fixed, run get rebase continue. So I just have to run get rebase continue. That's it. And it shows me uh, the commit message for this commit, the the temp's commit, the temp's third commit in the sense. It shows me the message if I want to edit the message or something. I don't want to edit it, so I'm just saving it, and that's it. So basically, now if you check it, main is here, and I've rebased it from the second commit to the third commit. So now temp comes from the third commit of the main. You know what I'm trying to say, right? So I basically rebased it. This is what I did, right? So, like if I even check the log, I can just check a git log or whatever. Uh, that's basically it. So the thing about rebase is that it doesn't add a commit. Okay, merge adds a commit, right? So depending upon your situation, you might need to rebase it, you might need to merge it. Merge adds a commit, so you actually know that okay, you branched out from this branch or something, right? But rebase doesn't do that, so it's transparent or something. Like you never know. Okay, that you lost the history, but that might lead to a cleaner tree, right? You can have a cleaner tree without having a merge commit, right? Uh, yeah. So you can have a first commit, second commit, third commit, and then the commit from the temp branch or whatever, right? So you can have a cleaner tree basically. Right? That's the entire idea. It's not a big deal or whatever. But yeah. So now rebase is done. Now let's come to stash. Okay. So now this is pretty cool feature of Git, and you use it in a lot of places and stuff. Thing is that just imagine like you are working on a file, right? You're just working on a file, and then you're just working on like this is something. But I'm not interested in it now, right? So I'm not interested in working on that particular feature now, but I'm working on that feature, right? But I don't want to look at it now. I can look at it later. So what I can do is that I can just I'm saving it obviously, right? But now it's there in the working directory. But I will come to that later. I don't want to deal it with now. That particular feature, I can come to that later. You can just do a git stash. So git stash is a local copy of your working directory, basically. Like if you have some this thing. Now if I come back to I stashed it, I stashed the changes. So if I go back to file, that change is gone for now because I'll be working on it later, right? I don't want to work on it now. So it's there in the .git, right? Okay, I can do it later or whatever. So yeah. So now if I basically git stash, there are few options. So like there is git stash list, git stash pop and stuff. So you can do a lot of stuff with the commands. So do read these commands either online or in the man pages or whatever to get a better grasp of how Git works. Right? It helps you out a lot. So now I can list the stashes that I have. So currently I just have one stash. That's it, and then there's no other stash. So there's only one stash, right? So and yeah, and then I want to work on it now, right? I want to work on it now. So what I do is I do a stash pop, right? And yep, and then I can just open the file up. Changes are back. Okay, so when I want to work on it, I can just work it stash pop, and all the changes come back to that. So I can continue working on it, and you can have multiple stash messages with multiple things, multiple experiments and stuff like that, which is pretty cool, right? So that's all in the local thing. You're not pushing it or you're not committing it to any other this thing. So your team doesn't know that you're working on probably that thing. So it's your personal things or personal experiments that you're running on. So you can stash them for some later use, probably, right? Cool. All right. So now I'll just come to. So now, for example, I don't want that change. I want to delete it. So that it's written here basically git restore file to discard the changes in the working directory. When you do that, it's lost, right? So if I do something like if I do a git restore file or text, it's lost. It's gone. So the changes are gone. So like, it's not stashed, but it's gone, right? Yeah. So you can do that or whatever. So that's depending upon, yeah, basically. Now I'll come to git clean. So as I explained, Git has three trees, right? One is your commits, one is your staging area, and one is your working directory. Now, in the working directory, Git can have tracked files and tracked files. Tracked files are those files which are already there in the previous commits. Like for example, file.txt or something. It is tracked, right? So, but what if I make a file which is untracked? Okay. So Git, if I just do a Git status, it shows me that okay, untracked files. This is untracked. Now I probably want to delete all those untracked files. I don't need them. I want to delete it, right? So there are a lot of untracked files and I don't want them. I just want to delete them. So I can just use git clean. So git clean, if I just do git clean, it shows me that git clean requires force by default, right? Because this cleaner require force property in git config, I'll come to that, is true and I have to give force. So there are some other options also like -i, -n and stuff. So I'll just investigate what is that basically. So I'm just going to help. So git clean, you have to pass force if you want to clean them, or you can also pass -n, which is dry run. Don't actually remove anything, just show what would be done. So basically it doesn't remove anything, it just shows, okay, it will remove this thing. So I just want to do a dry run. Let's see what will be removed. Okay, would remove untracked file.txt. Okay, it will remove untracked file.txt. I want it to be removed. So what I do is that instead of n, I pass f. Removing untracked file.txt, it is removed. If I do a git status, it is no longer there, right? Usually in these scenarios, you never, I mean, git clean makes your life easier in some scenarios, but usually sometimes you really need untracked files to work with. For example, if you have worked with JavaScript, any JavaScript projects or something, you have a lot of node modules, right? Now those all are untracked files. Git is not tracking them because node modules keep on changing, right? A lot of them. Now Git, we don't want those changes to be tracked by our Git report, like our Git, right? Because those are separate repositories, right? They're separate projects, right? So we don't want to track their changes also, right? So what we do is that, and we don't want to commit them for every commit, right? So, but they're untracked files. So what we can do is we can just use git ignore. So we can make a file which is git ignore, something like that, and I can, in the git ignore, I can name the file that I want it, like I want, for example, I want to ignore a file which is named untracked file.txt, right? That's what I want to ignore. So if I just save it, so now it's in the git ignore is this untracked file.txt, that's it. Now if I actually create an untracked file.txt, and if I do git status, it won't come up. Untracked file.txt didn't come up, but git ignore came up because git ignore is an untracked file. But because git ignore exists, git ignores the untracked file. Getting what I'm trying to say, right? So git ignores untracked file because it is mentioned in the git ignore. So you can have the node modules or your build files or the files that you need in your local system, but don't need to be committed in the git ignore, right? So they won't be accidentally committed also because it won't come up in the git status. It doesn't come up like you. If you want to get actually forcibly commit that untracked file, you can git add untracked file and you can forcibly do that, but it's in the git ignore, so you don't need to do that. You don't need to worry about it, right? So that's basically there. So you can have git ignore for that. I remove both of them basically, at least for this demo. I don't need that. So let's just read one file. So which is just file.txt. So basically, yeah, now we are here. So that is clean, right? And then you have two commands. One is revert and one is reset, right? There's revert and there is reset. So, okay, what revert does is that revert basically adds a commit, right? Revert basically adds a commit. So for example, imagine like what I told you, like you were working on something yesterday, you had an idea, you did that, solve the problem. Today you're having a different idea. You are using Git, by the way. So you removed the old idea, re-implemented the new idea, right? and it didn't work. So you want to roll back to the old idea. You can do that, but you want people to know that you went this route. For example, you thought about the new idea also, but it didn't work out. You want it to be in the Git history. You want it. So what you do is that you do a revert. So what revert does is that it doesn't remove the commits. It adds a commit onto the existing this thing, which basically has commit, right? So what you can do is like, for example, now if I just go to git log, okay, now I have like 3 commits here, like I mean 4 commits, sorry, comes from the temp branch, third commit, second commit, and this whatever. Now I want to revert back this commit, right? I want to come back to the third commit, right? So I want to revert this commit because I don't want this commit anymore. So what I can do is, sorry, yeah, I forgot to copy that. So I want to revert back this commit. I'll just copy this and git revert. That's it. And I can just, so revert is itself a commit because it is adding a commit which will prevent the older commit. So if I save it and quit it, right, quit it, I have to give the password because, yep. So if I just open the log, there is like the first commit, second commit, third commit comes from the temp branch, and then a revert commit which reverts the commit from the temp branch, right? So this commit exists, but it's literally of no use, and just for the logging scenario, just so that it is saved in the history, right? So people will know that okay, you went that route, right? So if I just open the file.txt, just 3 lines, not the 4 lines, right? Okay, now yeah, so if I open the log up and then if I check out to this particular commit, which exists by the way, okay, now if I just open the file, it is 4 lines, right? So it basically reverted it, right? So yeah, now the thing is that, by the way, when I check out to a commit, it basically shows me a detached head state, right? So the thing is that when I came to that particular thing, right, this one, so you know that the like the branch pointers point to the top commits. Now, if I basically go back to a commit here, that is my head commit right here, right? But it is in a detached head because I can't do anything with in this branch because the commits which are going to come next have already been defined, right? The commits which are going to come next have already been defined. So if I'm in this commit, if I've checked out of this commit, I can't do anything because this commit is already exists. So the only option for me is to branch out to something like this and then do a commit. You get what I'm trying to say, right? So you can't rewrite the history, right? If you want to rewrite the history, you have to branch out, right? But you can do, but if you are that brave, then you can do a git reset. Okay. So by the way, any doubts till now, like any queries, anything? This might seem a bit fast because I have a lot of things to cover. That's the only reason. So any doubts, anything? Okay, so I'll just move on. I hope I'm audible actually. Okay, so yep, 1 second. Okay, yeah, so you can just do a git reset, right? So what git reset does is that I did git reset before, right? If you have noticed it, so what git reset does is that it basically deletes your commits permanently. Okay, and it restores the state of the branch. So it's not like revert. It doesn't add a commit. It deletes all the commits, right? So now git reset has 3 modes, right? So I can just do a git reset and I'll just do a help so that you can basically see that. So git reset has like 3 modes. Okay, one is soft, mixed, and hard, right? So what soft does is basically it will it won't touch the staging index or the working tree. So what git commit git reset soft does is that it basically just reverts back the commit, right? Git has three trees, right? I told you. One is the commit, staging index, and the working tree. So the soft only touches the commit tree, not the other ones, right? What mix does is that mix touches the commit and the staging tree. What hard does is that it touches all the trees. So it basically resets everything, and you will lose data if you have something in the working directory. So if you have any unfinished thing in the working directory, it gets lost, right? If you're doing hard, right? But if you're doing mixed, that won't get lost. But if you have something in the staging area, that gets lost, right? So that is the thing about reset. You can lose stuff, right? If you do reset. So coming back to that, so basically now, if I just go to the log, I have like 4 commits, right? I have like 4 commits. One is the oops, I was not in the I was in the detached head. So I'll just go to main. I'll just check out to main. So now in the main branch, so I have like 4 commits now, right? I have like sorry, no, not 4 commits. I have like 5 commits. If I'm not wrong. 1 second. Oh, I think I did the revert commit in temp. So I'll just check out the temp. Sorry for that. So now in the temp branch, I have like 5 commits, right? So I have like the first commit, the second commit, the third commit, and then this one, right? And then this is the revert commit. But now I want to go back to this commit, right? I want to go back to the third commit, but I don't want these history to be there. I just want to erase it off. I don't want anyone to know about it. Right? What I can do is I can just do a git reset. I'm giving a hard, but hard is not required because if you just do a git status, there is nothing on a working directory or on my staging area. So even a mixed mode would basically work. Like I told, there are 3 modes, right? Soft, mixed, hard. So soft is basically only that thing. Mixed is both the commit tree and the staging tree, right? Both of them. And then the hard is basically all of them. So it's not required. But so I can just do a mix or whatever. So reset to oh shit. Okay. Okay, so I'll just go git log. I didn't copy that. Okay, so basically, yeah, this one commit and yep. So git reset to this commit, and then if I do git log, boom, gone. Everything is gone. So that is gone from the history, and if you check here, that's gone. Temp and main are in the same commit. Like if you look in the git log also, head points to this commit, head points to temp. So I'm currently in temp, and main is also pointing to this particular commit. So both main and temp are in the same thing. Why it's the same thing? Because we rebased, if you remember, right? We rebased it. So it's in the same third commit, right? So that's the thing. Yes. So now that is reset, right? So that brings us to the thing is that now you might be thinking like, if I resetted something, it's gone, right? You won't ever get it back. It's not actually. So the thing is that reset git seldomly removes everything, right? It doesn't really remove things as you think of, right? So if you lost some commits like this, right? It is basically there in the orphaned way. So the thing is that now, for example, I'll just go back to the original thing. For example, you deleted this commit off, right? You resetted it. Now you're in this one, right? Now the thing is that this commit is still there in .git folder. It's still there, but it is orphaned. That means nothing points to this, but it knows the commit, but nothing points to this. So you can't reach the commit directly, right? So that's the main thing. So basically, okay, now what I can do is I can try to do that. I didn't think that. So there is something known as git reflog. So reflog is basically the reference. Basically, like you have all the things that you did with the git, like with whatever I did today, right? So basically, I did a lot of things, right? So I want to find the commit in which I reverted, right? So revert commit from the temp branch. This was the revert commit, right? Yes. So this was the revert commit, and this thing is the hash of this. Let's try this. So I'm copying this, and then I do a git checkout. I just open this. It has 3 lines, right? Because I reverted it, if you remember. And if I just do a git log, all the 5 commits are there. The thing is that so now that 2 commits, whatever I am, it's basically deleted off, but it's still there in .git folder. It gets automatically deleted off in 30 days, basically. So Git runs a garbage collector, which basically deletes off all the orphaned commits because they are no longer pointing to anything. So it basically deletes it off. But if I actually want, okay, now I have the commit hash, right? So I can copy this and I can check out to main, right? And I can basically yeah. So it's showing me like warning you're leaving 2 commits behind, not connected to any of your branches. If you want to create them, if you want to keep them by creating a branch, this may be a good time to do so, right? So git branch whatever. But I want to probably merge with main. Can I do that? Let's try it. Yes, I can. So now if I just do a git log, all the 5 commits are there in the main branch. So if you look at it, in the main branch, all the 5 commits are there. I basically what I did is that I resetted the temp branch and I transfer the commits onto the main branch. Okay, so you can do a lot of things like that. So this is pretty interesting. So the thing is that you can have history of whatever you did, delete that, restore it or stuff like that, whatever. But yeah, by the way, if I just go to git ref log, you can see what all I did actually. So I added a new line. This was the first commit. I did commit amend basically, right? Whatever commit amends I did. And each of this activity has a hash, right? So everything is unique, by the way. So every activity that I did with git has a log. So everything is there in the logs, right? So I can go through that and I can get it back from there. So yeah, leaving that aside, basically, yeah, now basically covered clean, revert, and reset. Now we can just cover some simple things like get rm and get mv and yes. So before coming to rm and mv, since I think we have a bit of more time, so basically I'll just come to the git config that I was talking about since a long time. So you can have your own personal configuration for Git, right? So like I configured my Git to use Vim while committing a message. But if I want, I can configure my Git to use VS Code, right? If you use VS Code, right? So basically what I have to do is that I just have to go into, sorry, I just have to open the Git config, which is basically in my home directory. It's there in a Git config folder in my home directory. So it basically has all the settings of Git. So it has my name because Git uses this name and email to sign the commits. If you look at the name and email in the Git log, like if you look at the Git log here, you know that, okay, authored by me and my email. So Git has that. And I've also put my signing key because I want Git to sign my commits, right? I'll show why basically, but yeah, and then these are like all the color settings and stuff. Doesn't really matter actually. So like if I'm doing git diff or something, it shows the color, and for status and stuff, it shows the red color and stuff. That's not an issue. Thing is that if you can see this core editor equals to Vim. So here I'm putting the git editor here, right? And by the way, one more thing. So if I just quit it out, and when I did a git clean, if you remember, it showed me this, right? Clean or require force defaults to true. So I can actually I can actually put clean and require force equals to false in git config, and it will by default it will clean it. I don't have to pass the F flag. You're getting what I'm trying to say, right? So before I had to pass an F flag to manually clean it, but I don't have to pass if I set this to true in the git config. So if I set that particular thing to like true, like I did here, like UI equal to true, like so if I do like that, it basically won't ask me for an F option again. So you can configure your Git according to the things that you need. So now I want to use code here. I want to use VS Code. Let's see if I can use VS Code. Yeah, so basically the command for code is code, right? So I can just type code because yeah, and then I can just save it. Like I did some like yeah, let's open the file up basically. Uh, yes, so I just make some changes here. Okay, now I just save it. Now I just go to get status. So that is there. It's there in the working directory. I added to the staging area. So it's there in the staging area now. So, but when I now I have to commit it, right? Because I have to write a commit message and stuff. So it opened VS Code, right? Put with the commit message and stuff because it wants me to commit, right? Yeah. But the thing is that it aborted. Okay, it aborted. Why did it abort? Yeah, because I think the like basically what happens is that when you open the VS Code, it basically detaches it from your Linux or whatever. Like I'm not going to do that part and thing. So what I can do is I can basically close this. It's not even required. So I'm just closing this for now. Yeah. So what I can do is instead of that, what in the git config, I can just type, instead of code, I can basically type code minus minus wait. I think this should work. Let's try. So yeah. So code wait basically that is it. So now if I do a git commit, let's try that. Okay, one second. Oh, sorry, my bad. Yeah, I put like two quotes, whatever. So I just save it, and then yep, it just opens VS Code. Okay, and I can just type the commit message, and then I save it, and then I quit it, and then it yeah, it's asked for me GPG password. One second. Yeah, so now if I look at the log, that commit is there, and I used VS Code to sign that commit. I mean, not to sign, sorry, to write the commit message. So you can use the editor of your choice. It doesn't really matter, right? So you can customize Git the way it works and stuff, and yeah, you can do a lot of things with Git config, right? So two things: you can configure your Git by Git config, and then you can also configure the files and stuff for the staging area for the working directory using git ignore, like if you don't want something, right? So you can do that, right? So I'm just covering some basic things. So there are a lot more settings in the Git config. You can go and look for that, and you can customize your Git, the configuration for your Git and stuff. Coming to Git RM and MV, that's basically nothing. So if I basically have a file, and if I remove that file, right, and if I do a git status, I deleted a file, right? And now I have to, now these are not staged for commit, so I have to add it to the commit stage, right? So git add file.txt or whatever. And then git status. Now it is staged for commit, deleted this file, right? So that is the thing. Right, so I have to do like two steps, right? I have to first delete the file, RM, and then I have to also do a git add file, right? So which is basically, it looks counterintuitive. You're removing a file and then adding it, looks counterintuitive, right? So you can do that, but if I don't want to, just yes, one second. So if I don't want to, oh shit, one second. I'm just resetting back to that commit. Yeah, so basically I reset it hard. So basically all the working things are gone, everything is gone. Yeah, but the file still says. So yeah, so basically now if I want to delete it directly, I can just use git rm, which is just adding git behind rm, and then I just want to go to the file, and then if I go to the status, it's directly deleted, and it's also staged for commit. So it does two things in one command. That's the only thing, but yeah, you can do some other things with it also, but yeah. Now MV is nothing but cut paste. So if you want to move a file from one folder to another folder, basically like cutting it and pasting it, right? So you can just, instead of using MV and then adding it to Git, you can, what you can do is that you can just get MV and then this file to that particular folder. That's it. Just how you use an MV command. So I'm not demonstrating it that, but that's basically it. So yeah, and there is, now I'll be coming to the more. One second. Yes. So I'll just take this and I'll put it here. Yeah. So now I'll just come to Git remote, right? So you can have remote. Now this Git, whatever I did, is in the local machine. It's not there in in GitHub or any of the, yeah. GitHub is basically just a hosting service, right? So where you can host your repositories, right? So I'll just start a repository. So you can just go to GitHub, just go to this plus your repository, right? So GitHub is nothing but just a social network or something to, look at others' repositories and also collaborate and work together, like socially, right? So you can have issues and pull requests and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not going deep dive into pull requests, but basically it's nothing but a merge, right? You can merge it or you can even rebase and pull request it. So what you can do is that you can fork it to your own copy and then you can work on that and then you can submit a pull request to the parent repository. And if they want that change, they'll accept it like a merge. It's a merge, right? So I'll just start a repository with name, something like whatever name I just gave you, which is Git Workshop or something. Okay, so I'm just making a private repo, whatever. So I'm not initializing it with anything because I already have the repo initialized here. If I don't have, then I have to initialize it, but I'm not initializing with any readme or something. I'm just creating a repository. So I just created it and it's there now. So what I do is that I just copy the remote, right? I just copy this URL basically, which is HTTPS git this thing. I'm just copying this here. And then it even shows you how to do that. So if you have to push an existing repo, you have to remote it. So what remote is basically, remote has your, how to say that? Your, the remote repository's URL. Now the good part about is that you can have multiple remotes, right? So if you are basically working in like a team or something, right? You can have your own copy in GitHub, your own repo, and you can probably have your team's repo. And your own repo is forked from the team's repo. So you can have two remotes, right? So you can pull from one and you can push to another. I'll show how pull and push works, but you can pull and push from different things also, not just a single remote. So it's pretty cool. So I just show that. So git remote add and then pass the URL of it, right? Oh, I'm sorry. I have to give a name basically. So I'm just giving a name. So get remote, add a name for the remote. So I can have maybe like origin, the name for the remote, with the URL of the remote. That's it. So can I also list the remotes? I think I can. So yeah, 1 second. Okay, so okay, so basically now, yeah, so I've added the remote origin. Now basically, yes. So now I've added the origin. Now I want to push this main branch onto the origin. I can do that. So what I would, so there are like two commands: get push and get pull. So pull is to pull from the remote, and push is to push onto the remote. So I want to push this branch to the remote. So basically, get push minus u. So if I just go to the help section of it, basically you can get the minus u here. 1 second, let me just find that out. Yes, so you're setting the upstream for it. I mean, basically what it's doing is that if the push is successful, I want it to be pushed only to that, right? So that's basically it. That's nothing special. So you can, yeah. So what you does is that basically it just tells it to push always to that particular repository, right? Because Git doesn't know by default to which remote to push. So if I just do a git push like normal, it shows that okay, you have to get because main has no upstream branch, so to set an upstream branch. So you can git push. I'm setting it along with pushing. So git push origin main. Okay, so I'm pushing it, and if I check my GitHub, I just reload it. It should be there. Main is there. And if I go to the commit history, there are 6 commits. There is add, there is revert, all these commits are there, right? And what if I want to push the test? I can do the same thing. I can check out a test. No, actually, yeah, so I can just check out a test. I mean, sorry, not test, temp. And then I can do the same thing for temp, right? So I'm pushing temp too. So temp is also there. So if I basically uh, no, I think it's I have to reload it. Sorry. Yeah, so it should be there. Branches, main, and temp. If I go to the temp, there are like 3 commits, right? 3 commits in the temp, and then there are like if I go to main, there are like 6 commits, right? So now I can actually give a pull request from main to temp. Yep. So I can probably try giving a pull request, open pull request, right? Not in temp because it's main is ahead of it. So I can give from main to temp. So basically I can excuse me. So 1 second. I can set the default branch to be yeah. So I can create a pull request from main to temp. It's not, I'm just showing an example of how a pull request looks, but it's so pull request is basically just like you are basically asking the permission that hey, I have done some extra work or something, I've done some work, now I would like this work to be also there in the repository. Now if they're giving the permission, then accept the pull request. So pull request is a draft that you're basically submitting to them. So this is a PR pull request or whatever, and then you can just type something like write a good description of the pull request, why you're doing a pull request, right? Okay, you're updating it or whatever. Like you have to give a nice description in real world scenarios, right? So updating the branch or whatever. I'm just giving a pull request. Create a pull request, and you have 3 options. You can create a merge, you can squash and merge. I didn't cover squash, but you can rebase and merge. So you have 3 like you have merge and you have rebase, right? So this is just a merge which actually includes a commit, and this is a rebase which doesn't include a commit, right? So you can do all those kind of stuff. And what is squash? Squash, if you just read it, the 3 commits from this branch will be combined into 1 commit. So you can do a git squash also. I haven't covered it in terminal, but basically what squash does is that just combines 3 commits or 4 commits or whatever into 1 single commit. Right? That's basically squash. Nothing thing, but you know what I'm trying to say. Right? So you can have, so you can just have 1 commit to keep things clean. That's basically it. So you can do anything. So I'm just doing a simple merge now, merge pull request or whatever, and this is the merge commit. So this is the title for the commit. So if I just go to, if I open temp, and if I open the commit, there's a merge commit which merged from main to temp, right? So now but if I just look at the log locally, there are only 3 commits in temp, but I want the other commit. So what I do is I do a git pull. So it pulls from GitHub. Now if I do a git log, all the things are there. Everything is there. So main is in this branch, like this particular commit. Temp is in this commit, and yeah, at this point, this even the origin temp is in this commit, and origin main is in this commit. So origin is basically the remote branches. So you have like 2 sets of branches. You have local branches and remote branches. So main and temp are local branches. Origin temp and origin main are remote branches. And you can have multiple remotes. So you can pull from one, you can push the other, and stuff like that. So basically, how you do contributing to GitHub, a GitHub repo is you basically pull from the upstream branch, which is basically the thing that you want to contribute to, and you push it to your branch. And then once you're done with the change, you basically open a pull request from your repo to the other repo. That's basically how it works, right? So yeah, and all the things are here, like the merge and stuff like that, right? So yeah, and then you have a git clone. What is git clone used for? So for example, if I if I go back and if I just make a folder, uh, no, 1 second. So I'll just one second. Just go to Git workshop and then I'm just making a folder for now. Doesn't really matter. And then I can basically clone this repository here. So I can just clone this, I can just copy this, and then I can clone it in the repo. So basically now this folder has nothing. This folder is empty. I can clone it from that particular repo, and everything is cloned. Now if you look at the list, the repository is there. I seed into that. This is the repo, and I do a git log or something. The entire repository is there. I can check out to temp. So this is a different folder actually. So I do a log and everything is there. So this is how you clone stuff. So you can clone remote repository and do that stuff. Not a big deal, but yeah. So yeah, so I'm back to the original directory. I'll just remove that. Yeah, so basically, yeah, so I think I covered a lot of things, I guess. So yeah, so coming once more, you have Git init, the initialize repository. I discussed the trees of Git, which are like three trees, and which is one is the commit tree, one is the staging tree, and the third is the working tree, right? So that is there, and then you have Git add, which basically adds from working tree to staging one, right? And then commit is basically you're doing from staging to the commit tree, like you're actually creating a commit. And then the types of commits, like not, I mean, the commit with the flags like -m or something like that, how to change the editor and stuff. And then you can check out to, you can check out to a commit, you can check out to a branch. Okay, you can check out to a new branch, or you can do a lot of things to check out, right? So yeah, and then you can do a merge between two branches, right? You can do a rebase, which is rebasing the other branch, right? And then you can do stash. Stash is basically a saving some working index so they can work on later. You can do git clean, so you can remove the untracked files, so which are in the working directory and which are not tracked by Git, you can remove them. You can do a revert commit, so it's adding a reverted commit so that basically you don't lose commit history. You can reset it, which is basically deleting it off, a tougher thing. And you can do a git rm or a git mv to shorthands or whatever. A git remote, so that you can basically add or delete remotes, or you can modify remotes. So remotes, you have like two things. You have set URL and stuff. So if you look at the remote, you can get remote. If I go to help, you can basically have set URL and get URL for the particular remote. So if I basically get remote for origin, this is the URL for origin, right? So I can do all those stuff, right? So and then I can do a git push or pull to a remote and then git clone. Yeah. So if I just go back and if I go to the commits, if you look at this, all of these commits are verified, right? If you do a normal commit, it's not verified. It is verified because I'm using a GPG key. For that, I'm tapping the password. So basically, GitHub knows that this commit is coming from this particular signature and this is a verified signature, whatever, right? So only for that, I am using a key, right? So yeah, that's basically it. And yes, and also I'll just give a quick intro. I think the time is nearly running out, so I'll give a quick intro about Hacktoberfest 2. So basically, it's basically just like focus on more about reading code rather than contributing. That's what I recommend. So read code, and if you can fix some stuff, if you can fix issues, if you can fix issues, then make a commit and submit a pull request. And lucky ones get a T-shirt or something, I guess. Yeah, whatever. So read stuff. That's more important. And don't submit a pull request or don't submit pull request, and they might not accept. If you did some good work, then do a pull request. So that's Hacktoberfest. So yeah, just enjoy using Git, and also yeah, I hope Git makes you more efficient and things work out well. Also, yeah, that's basically it. And yeah, I think I'll conclude with that. Yeah, thanks. So
Thank you, Emmanuel. That was a very informative session. Hope all the participants enjoyed the session as much as I did. If you have any questions regarding the session, feel free to put them out in the chat box. Okay, seems like we don't have many questions.
Yep, that's fine.
Thanks again, Emmanuel.
I think like if you have any doubts or anything, like I think this was a bit fast paced because I had to cover a lot of ground in a short amount of time. But yeah, so I think it was a bit fast paced, but yeah. So and one more thing. So if you want to basically read more about it, go to Atlassian tutorial for Git something. It is pretty cool. There's a lot of things that you can learn from there, and also you can look at Git's official book, Git's website, and yeah, for installing Git, you can just go to the website. Like you just search Git, installing Git, get all the details. So that's. So I'm not covering all this stuff, but yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Manuel.
Yep.
So
Welcome.
that binds up the first part of our session. By now, you must be familiar with Git and GitHub. Meanwhile, we have a feedback form coming up in a few minutes. So make sure you fill it so that we can come up with more of such amazing sessions. Now, let's call upon Naina Vinod from TLE MEC to demonstrate us in contributing to the repo. Over to you, Naina.
Hey, I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you're
And
perfectly audible.
okay, cool. So I'm Naina Vinod and I'm the vice chairperson of TLEMEC. And I'll be showing you how to contribute, do a PR to our repo. Okay, so I'll share my screen. Okay, I hope you can see my screen. So this is a repo and I'll send the link in the chat so you all can do it with me. Okay, so this is a repo. So why we created this repo is so that, like why are you participating in this repo is so that you can get practiced in competitive programming and DSA, data structures and algorithms. And at the mean process, you can also get familiarized with Git and GitHub. And also every pull request that you made here, which that gets accepted will be counted for the Hacktoberfest. So you'll be contributing to Hacktoberfest too. And everything that I'm saying here are in these four files here in the contributing.md file and making a PR. And also there we have provided some resources here. Okay, so we'll start. So the first step is to fork this repo. Since I've already forked it, that's why it's showing it like this. If you haven't already forked it, it will redirect you to this repo, your forked repo. And if it isn't getting redirected, you can go to your repositories on the top here and you can go to the repo there. Okay, so now what we do is we clone the repo. For that, go to here under the code and you will see the link there. So copy that, go to, yeah, so go to your terminal and type git clone and paste the link. This will clone the repo and you can see the clone repo here. So if you want to go, if you want to clone this to some other folder there, you can do CD and go to that folder and clone it there. But I'm just doing it in the desktop itself. And now we can go to VS Code and add our question there. Okay, so in our repo, we have questions from CP questions from different platforms, coding platforms, including LeetCode, CodeChef, etc. And you can take questions from any of those platforms and add it here. And so yeah, so how you will be adding a question, I'll be showing you that now. So I am taking this question, which is merged in between linked list. And so first is to copy this name and go to VS Code. And since this is a lead code question, I'll be creating a folder there with the name of the question, which is merged in between linked list. And inside that folder, I'll create a README file. And in the README file, save the link of this question, which appears on the top. And that can be saved here in the README. Okay, so now we'll copy the solution and that'll be served into solution and I'm using CPP, so hence solution.cpp. And the code is here. So I'll copy that and paste it here. So the things to know when you're doing the solution is that do remember to add comments because we don't want any spam pull requests, and also other people will be going through this repo in some later time and maybe even you. So it's better to have comments so that even they can understand all these questions. And so yeah, so add your solution with proper comments, indentation, etc. And now we can commit it. So the first is to git add this. Yeah, then git commit with the message add, added, lead code, and the problem name is merge in between linked list. Okay, so this is the format that you can follow while adding. Okay, all these details are given in the making a pr.md file. You can refer that later if you want to. So git commit and add the message. Right. So now do git push and yeah. So now we come back to our fork repo and I hope the commit is here. Yeah, so now it says that this branch is one commit ahead, the original branch. That commit is what we just did. So now what we do is we do a pull request. Open a pull request and yeah, create pull request and do not to do these, okay? We are telling them that we are adhering to all these rules that is put up here. And after that, create a pull request. So the maintainers will see if these request will get accepted or not. And if you have done the proper things, we will accept the pull request. If you haven't, we will mention what changes you need to do, and you can do those changes, and your pull request will be accepted. So yeah, that's basically it. Hope that's clear.
Yeah, thank you so much, Nayana. That was indeed insightful. So, if you guys have any questions for Nayana, do ask them in the chat box. We have put up the link to feedback form, so do fill it to grab your certificates. So I guess there are no doubts. Okay, so with that, we have come to end of our session. Hope you all had a great time here, and I guess by now you're all very excited to join the Hacktoberfest 2021. Thank you for joining us, guys, and have a wonderful evening ahead.